Matt, big time middleweight fight coming up this weekend. I can't wait for it. It's Ghana versus Italy. It's Alhassan versus Alessio Di Chirico. And Matt, you talk about a couple of guys that picked the wrong fighters in their respective fights. Alessio Di Chirico's taking on Joaquin Buckley. The boys take Buckley. Alessio Di Chirico steals the hype train. You've got Abdul Razak Alhassan taking on Jacob Malkoun, who I think we said was one of the worst fighters on the roster, including Victor Rodriguez at the time. And Jacob Malkoun goes out there and out-wrestles Abdul Razak Alhassan into exhaustion and beats him from pillar to post the entire fight. Now, Matt, I look at this one for Alessio Di Chirico. He's been training out of Evolução Thai in Keller, Texas, of all places, with one of the most vascular men I've ever seen at 48 years old. And I'm going to pop that one up there on the screen. His coach, wow, and had some really interesting fights. But if you look at it for Alessio Di Chirico, owns Gloria MMA in Rome, which I thought was really interesting, especially coming into that fight with Joaquin Buckley, because I kind of went around the narrative of he's been losing fights and they haven't been that great. Maybe he's just spending too much time thinking about the gym. But I mean, this guy right now coming over to the States with the foresight that, hey, I've got a fight here. Let's get acclimatized. We'll get ready for the time change being in Texas, going to Vegas. But I can say the same thing for Abdul Razak Alhassan. Now, I just want to throw it back to Di Chirico for a second because he was booked to take on Roman Dolidze. There was a minor injury. He was booked to be competing in August against Aliaskhab Hizriev that I really wanted to see fight, but he's out. And originally, Abdul Razak Alhassan was supposed to take on my guy, Antonio Braga Nieto. Antonio, where you at, buddy? Can't wait to see him back, but unfortunately that one fell out. But I do want to say about camp changes, Matt, maybe this is going to be news to a lot of people, but Abdul Razak Alhassan no longer out of Fortis MMA for this one. He's actually training out of Elevation Fight Team with Neil Magny, doing the strength and conditioning at Elevation. His gas tank has been a problem for him in the fight against Munir Lazez in the last two fights, especially even in the move up to 185. And this is a heavily muscled guy. I think this is the perfect move for a guy in his later stages of his career on a 3-fight losing streak where, man, like it's put up or shut up. And that's the type of move that you have to make when you get your back up against the wall.
I agree with 90% of that assessment, but this is where we might differ. I don't think you can improve your cardio like Abdul Razak Alhassan in one training camp. I really don't. I think it takes multiple years at Elevation to make a big difference because with Alhassan, and I will admit, it's going to help him, don't get me wrong, but he's the type of fighter who it's not like he has one good round and then he falls off a cliff. It's, I have that one good explosion, and if that explosion hits you, it is over. It's kind of like Prime Rumble Johnson, honestly. It's where if I hit you, yes, you're going to sleep, but you can kind of make me give up almost.
Like Shane Carwin.
A little bit, exactly. Like he's got that one good rush, but after that, it's pretty much it. Like there's a great benefit to having that, but also there's going to be a few detractors. Normally that detractor comes by way of the cardio, and that's what we've seen kind of be the Achilles heel of Abdul Razak Alhassan. Remember, this is a guy who at welterweight, he was in that like Vicente Luque dark horse contender kind of category there. Like he was flatlining people and it wasn't even close, and they were good fighters too. You don't accidentally beat guys like Nico Price and Sabah Hamasi by knockout. Those are solid fighters who, yes, they might not be in the rankings, but they are borderline like 25 to 15 guys who are going to have fun fights with really anybody you put in the cage with them. And Abdul Razak Alhassan was proving that, hey, I'm not just a tough guy. I'm a talented, tough guy. The issue is that after his long layoff, we just don't really see the same fighter. He seems more tentative, at least now, than he was before. And maybe that does have to do with him moving up in weight. And maybe that is him worrying about the power coming back his way. Because going into that Chaos Williams fight, I thought Abdul Razak Alhassan at least had the speed advantage over Chaos Williams. And this is the thing. Everybody remembers Alhassan for, yes, he gets tired. He gets out-wrestled by Munir Lazez. And yes, he gets out-wrestled by Jacob Malkoun. Sandwiched in between those two losses is a hellacious KO loss to Chaos Williams. And it's a bad one, too. And that's the thing about Alhassan. His striking is so explosive and it is so pretty that it leaves him open. He lunges forward like crazy on his punches. And when they do land, it's great. But they open him up for counter strikes. And this thing about Alessio Di Chirico, he looked almost too good in his last fight, but he looked too bad in those 3 losses leading up to it. I think Di Chirico is a solid fighter across the board. He's good in the clinch. We saw that in Julian Marquez win. Again, that wasn't an entertaining win by any means, but hey, all we care about at the end of the day is the W or the L, and that's what he got. And that fight really came down to him just being the more technical fighter and the more steady fighter throughout 3 rounds. That's really what this fight's going to come down to. Unless Abdul Razak Alhassan can maybe blast him with a knee coming up the middle in a clinch, or maybe catch him with an elbow or something coming in, maybe he'll be able to stop Di Chirico. Other than a finish, I really like Di Chirico in the clinch. I just like him being that kind of smothering fighter. He's not going to give Alhassan a lot of space to get off his power techniques, and I do think Di Chirico is the more likely to win this one by decision.
I mean, for Alhassan, you can kind of point to the fact that he did miss weight against Munir Lazzez, weighed in at 174 pounds, and he also missed weight against Chaos Williams, 172.5 in that one. And for Di Chirico, he lost to Zach Cummings, and that wasn't that long ago, but he also had a competitive fight against... He also had a competitive fight against Makmud Muradov, who's on this card too. So that's the weird thing. And then he lost a decision to Kevin Holland, but Holland's was really good at the time.
Is he the middleweight version of John McDessie? Like, he's sound defensively. He doesn't really spin as much, but you know what I mean? Like, he's just kind of good across the board. He might not be as flashy as McDessie, but the thing I think about with Di Chirico is the striking defense.
We missed the boat on this one, Matt, because Alessio Di Chirico open to minus 155. He's a minus 224 right now. Alhassan open to plus 125. He's plus 181 over on Tapology. 824 votes, 82% Di Chirico, 68% by decision for the 18% that have Alhassan, 69% by knockout. Obviously, he has that knockout ability. For Alessio Di Chirico, he has been finished 1 time in his career. It was by first round submission, Matt, to your boy, Eric Spicely. He also has a loss to Bojan Velichkovic, too. I know he's your guy, too.
I think if Di Chirico, again, can just not get knocked out, he should be able to win this fight. I do worry about Alhassan's training camp. And again, cardio. And I will admit, yes, the training camp switch is probably great for him because, again, the one big issue he does have is the cardio. So if he's able to fix that, then maybe that will help him with all the other aspects of his game. I just don't think one camp is enough to really bridge the gap between him and Di Chirico when it comes to in-cage cardio.
All right, Matt. Well, both of us going with Italy's Alessio Di Chirico. Can't wait for that fight. We got all sorts of great ones in 185 pounds, including the next fight that's on the card as it stands. You have Gerald Meerschaert taking on Makmud Muradov. I can't wait for that fight. This is an awesome card. You're not going to want to miss any of the other videos that we have out there. So keep locked in with Fight Night Picks. And as we always say,